Hey everybody, welcome to this tutorial on how to create bumpy charts in Python. We're going to be going over how to create them and how to use the mplsoccer package to be able to do that. And mplsoccer was created by my guy Andy, so be sure to go over to Twitter. You can follow him. I'll link his @ in the description below. And then as well, just a quick little plug about our Discord group that we still have going on. It's a great place for you to come and get help with any sort of code or any sort of issues you're having with creating visualizations, get feedback. And there's a lot of really smart people in there, including Andy. And there's just a ton of people in there that can really help you out, and there's a lot of knowledgeable people. So be sure to go join that. I'll leave a link in the description. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna make sure that we have mplsoccer installed. If you've already installed it from previous videos, then you may need to make sure that you upgrade it. You can do it by just typing in pip install and then dash or hyphen upgrade mplsoccer. And that will upgrade it to the correct package version that we need to be able to use bumpy charts. Because if you have the very first version, it's like 1 or 1.01, then you won't have bumpy charts. But the newest version is 1.03, which does have bumpy charts and the edited versions of bumpy charts as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to be creating this graph that's going to show the bumpy chart of kind of the La Liga standings as they've been going on right now. We're in week 35. Atletico and Barcelona just played, and it was a disappointment for all of us Barcelona fans throughout the world. But whatever. So you win some, you lose some. And I guess we drew that one, so we didn't win or lose. You win some, you lose some, you draw some. Draw 4. All right, so we're going to be over in Jupyter Notebooks, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to create it all in here, and I'll show you kind of everything step by step that we need to do. If you want to download this code, and as well you want to download the file that I'm working with, this is all just hand collected data. I basically had to go through and collect for every single match week, because that was the only way I could find match week by match week by match week data, was by going to like laliga.com, and then I was adding it all myself. It took a little bit, so you can download the CSV. It's just called La Liga in my GitHub down below, which there will be a link to. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. The first thing that we're going to need to do is we need to install Pandas. So we're going to say import Pandas as PD. And then as well, we're going to import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. So Pandas is a package that allows us to manipulate data and load things as a data frame. And then matplotlib is going to allow us to plot and kind of add a couple of different plot things onto a graph and kind of create our actual plot. And then as well, we want to import mplsoccer. And then as you can see from a lot of them that you've seen before, a lot of them are using kind of like, they're only emphasizing 2 or 3 teams, and they're highlighting those teams. So to do this, we're going to use a package. It's called highlight text. So we're going to say import highlight _ text, just like that. And then as well, we need to import the bumpy package. So we're going to say from mplsoccer import bumpy, like that. So B with a capital B. And then we can run that. And we might come back and add some packages depending on if we need certain things. But our first step is going to be that we want to read in the data frame. So the data frame is a little bit interesting because CSV needs to be set up a certain way so that it will read it correctly. So the first thing we need to do is we just need to read in the CSV file and create a data frame. So we'll say df equals pd. So pandas is how we're going to read it in, .read _ CSV. And then the data frame is just called La Liga. So La Liga.csv, I guess the CSV file is called La Liga, and we can run that, and then we can look and see what it looks like right now. So if we say df.head and then 2 parentheses, that shows us the top 5 rows. So what we need is we actually need the teams to be on the top. So we need the teams to be the column names and the weeks to be the rows. So I could have set it up this way, but it was just easier when I was manually entering in the data to have the team over here and then the week here, so I could kind of just freeze this column and scroll. Just a little bit easier, but I mean, when we're doing this with the CSV file, you can do this with a dictionary as well, but I like using CSVs. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do something called transpose, which basically just means we're going to switch the rows and the columns. It's not too hard to do. We just say df equals df dot capital T, and now we can look at it and we say df dot head, and now we have it. But what we can notice is that team right here is an actual row. We need it to be the columns. So what we're going to do is we're going to say df.columns equals df.iloc. So iloc is how you can kind of select rows and kind of select specific data that you're looking for. And if we just do brackets and 0, that will select it. And then we just need to do df.iloc again. I'm actually going to do it just in the same one. So then we're just going to say df equals df.iloc 1 colon. So that's basically saying we want the second row, because Python starts at 0, so 1 is technically the second row. So this is row 0, and then this is row 1, which is technically our second row. So we want everything from here down. So if we run this, and then we can look at it again, we say df.head, and there we go. As you can see now, we have it all set up. We have the teams as our columns, and then we have this right here. We have our week, basically our match week as the row names. So run a couple of these just so I can shift it up. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to create a list, which is essentially just going to be our match week, which we're going to use for the x-axis. You could use the index right here, but I mean, it's easier just to use a list. So what we're going to do is we're going to say week equals, and then we're going to create a list like this, and then we're going to do something called list comprehension, which is basically we're going to create the list by using a for loop inside of a list. It's kind of a nifty way to create a list with something. So we're just going to say week like this, and then put a space, and then plus, and then we're going to do str num. And then we're going to say for num in range 1, 35. So just kind of break down what this is doing. This is saying we're going to start with the for loop. So this is basically a for loop. If you don't know what a for loop is, I made a video, like one of my very first videos on what for loops are. I'll put it right here or something. But a for loop is essentially we're going to loop over every single one of these numbers, so 1 through 35. But in Python, when we're doing this range function, it actually goes up to 35. It doesn't do 35, so we're going up to week 34 because we have 34 weeks. And then we're going to say for each number, we want to do week plus the string of that number. So what it's going to return for the first index, or like for the first list item, it's going to be week 1. And then the next item, it's going to go to range 2, or it's going to go to number 2, and then it's going to do week plus the string of the number, which is this, which is equal to 2 in that instance, and it's going to go all the way up to 34 doing that. So we can run this, and I can kind of show you what week looks like. So if we look at week, now we can see it's week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 34. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create a dictionary of colors, and what this dictionary is going to do is it is going to basically allow us to store colors that are related to the teams. So we're going to be looking at Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a dictionary called highlight _ dict. Then we're going to set that equal to in this dictionary. So it's highlight dict equals, and then this curly bracket is how you create a dictionary. And I like to hit enter just so I kind of know where I'm working and everything. But what we need to do is we need to say Atletico Madrid, and we want to spell it exactly how it is up here. So in quotes, Atletico Madrid. Outside the quotes, do a colon. And then we're going to pass in their color. So their hex code is CB3524. and then we put a comma. And then after that, we're going to pass in Real Madrid. And we'll put a colon. And their hex code, we're actually just going to use white because they are the merengues. And then we put a colon. And then we'll do Barcelona, colon. And then one of their hex colors in a string is how we do it. And it's EDBB00. And so essentially, this isn't going to show anything, but this is how we are going to create the colors for when we actually plot everything. So the next part is we need to create a bumpy object. And what this does is this allows us to plot an object on top of our kind of thing that we're creating, our graph. So what we're going to do to create this is we're going to use the mplsoccer. And we're just going to say bumpy, so lowercase bumpy equals, and then we want to do capital bumpy like that. And then we'll do parentheses. I like to hit enter twice so I know what I'm working with, and then you can tab over. And then we need to do scatter colors. So scatter colors is we're going to make it kind of a grayish color. So we'll say scatter colors equals, and then hashtag 2828. And we'll do like 282828. We'll do 282828. And then we also want to do our line colors. So we'll do line color. And then on this one, we'll do another hex code of 252525. So this essentially is just going to make them kind of be a grayish color. Actually, yeah, we'll do 282828. Then put a comma after that. And then we're going to go down and we're going to say rotate underscore x ticks equals 90. So it's going to rotate the x ticks by 90 degrees. And then we're going to say tick label underscore size. We can do 15 just as kind of a general number. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say scatter with 2 T's, scatter underscore primary equals, and then capital D. So that's the scatter type that's going to be used. And then we're going to say show underscore right equals true. And then as well, we want to say plot underscore labels equals true. And then alignment underscore y value equals 0.1. And then alignment underscore x value equals 0.065. So this is creating something called a bumpy object, and it's going to make a little bit more sense when we actually plot the thing. But what we want to do is now we want to go ahead and create the actual graph. So we'll run that. And now we are going to actually plot the graph. So we'll say fig, comma, ax. This is where matplotlib comes in. And we're going to say equals bumpy.plot. So we're plotting this actual thing. And then we're going to pass in a couple more kind of arguments to be passed in. We're going to say x underscore list equals, we need to pass in this week right here. We're going to say week, comma, and then we want to pass in our y list. We're going to say y underscore list equals np dot linspace 1 comma 20 comma 20, and then on the outside you say dot as type int. So linspace, this is saying we're going to go from 1 to 20. So if you're in a different league where, for example, in the championship, I don't know exactly how many teams are in the championship, but in like La Liga, there's only 20 teams, so you need to put to 20. Otherwise, you need to do however many teams you have. And one thing I just remembered, we did not import NumPy. So we're going to go back up to our imports, and we're going to say import NumPy as NP. So NumPy just allows us to do a couple of statistical and kind of some math stuff. on the data that we're using. The next thing is we need to pass in values. So values is just going to be equal to our data frame. So we'll say values equals df, comma, and then we want to say secondary underscore alpha equals 0.5, comma, and then we're going to say highlight underscore dict equals highlight underscore dict. So what this is doing is this is taking in the argument highlight dictionary, and we're setting it equal to this highlight dictionary up here. So what it's going to do when it plots this is it's going to find our column name that is Atletico Madrid, and it's going to plot this color right here. It's pretty nifty. So if you wanted to, you could pass in different teams. Say we want to plot Cadiz, we could plot them as like a yellow, or say we want to plot Getafe, we could plot them as like their blue. If we want to plot Granada, we could do their red. So essentially this highlight dict is going to find the team and then plot the color. It's pretty simple. And then we want to set a fig size. We'll say fig size equals, and we'll do 18 by 18 just so we have a nice square. Then we're going to say y underscore label equals, so this is what we want the y-axis to be labeled. We'll say position. And then we also need to pass in ylim right here. So we'll say ylim equals, and then we want the y limit to be a little bit below 0 just so that it captures everything. And then we also want it to be above 20, so probably like 22 or 23 so that it captures everything as well. We'll say ylim equals negative 0.1, it's below 0, and then we'll do 23. And then make sure you put a comma, and then we want to do line width as well, so we'll say LW equals 2.5. So we can actually just run this right now, and that is kind of the basics of our Bumpy chart. So what we want to do actually is we want to add kind of the context of what's going on right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in this cell, and we're going to create something called fig text. And we're going to say fig.text equals, so this is plotting just a text object on our figure. This is called a figure, and we're going to plot just some text over it. And so we need to pass this in. Sorry, it's not an equals, it's just parentheses. And we say S, so our string equals, and we'll say La Liga through week 34, because currently we are in 35. And then outside of that, we need to pass in our X. So we'll say X equals 0.13, and then Y equals 0.96. But most of the time, you're going to have to mess with the X and Y to get it where you want. So it's going to plot it about right here somewhere. And then I'm going to hit enter just so you can kind of see what else is going on. We'll say C, which is our color. Then we want that to be white. And then we're going to say size. So our text size, we'll do 24. And then font family you can pass in as well. But I'm going to pass in weight equals bold. So weight is just going to make it bold text. So now let's run it again. And we can see, all right, that actually looks terrible. So we're going to have to adjust the Y probably. We can try out like 0.8. 0.8 looks a little bit better, but I want to do something, so we'll do 0.87. Nope, that's way too high. See, this is the pain of trying to do this. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Yeah, we'll stick with that. And then we can edit it if we need to later. And the next thing we want to do is we want to use another function of highlight-text. This is this package we imported earlier. And we want to use it to say, okay, we're comparing Barcelona, Atletico, and Real Madrid. So what we're going to do is, to do this, we say highlight underscore text dot fig underscore text. And then we need to pass in an X and a Y. So we'll say X equals, and we'll do 0.13 so it lines up right there. And then Y equals, since that's 0.84, we'll do 0.82. And then the way that this works is we need to pass in a string just like the other one. So we say S equals, and then to tell it which one we want to highlight when we do this. We'll say comparing. So this is part of the string. We'll say comparing, and then we put in these like the greater than or the less than equal sign, or greater than or the less than signs, and we say Atletico, and then you need to do that. We'll put a comma, and then we'll do it again for Real Madrid. And then as well, we will put an ampersand, and then we will do it for Barcelona. So what this is doing is, this is going to be the entire kind of subtitle, and then each phrase that is inside these two brackets is how we're going to highlight that specific text. So we'll do that, and then we'll hit comma, and then we need to pass in something called highlight underscore text props, and then say equals, and then this needs to be a list. So it's a little iffy right here, but we have to pass in just a bunch of dictionaries. So what I recommend is you create a dictionary right here, and it's color, and then so color is our key, and then we want to pass in this exact same color that we did before hex code. So Atletico is CB3524, and then hit comma outside of that dictionary, and then we're going to create another one. So I'm actually just going to copy this 2 more times because we need 3 of them, and then get rid of this last comma right here. So this color is Real Madrid, which is white, and then, but without the pound sign, and then this one is EDBB00, right? 00. Yeah, okay. So that's a little weird. So I would just make sure that you have this exactly how it's supposed to look like if you're comparing colors. So you should have as many colors as you have brackets up here, or kind of like these less than or greater than signs. So we have 3 teams that we're comparing, so we have 3 colors. If you only had 2 teams, then you would only have 2 phrases inside these brackets. So you would only have 2 colors as well. So outside of this highlight text props, which is this list, just put a comma again, and we'll say font size equals 20, and then we'll do color equals white. So anything that's not inside these brackets is going to be white. So comparing, the commas and the ampersand are going to be white. And then as well, you can pass in a font family if you want. You don't need to. We'll just leave it how it is. So that's that. And we will run this, and we can kind of see what it looks like. And I didn't put a comma right there, so make sure you put the comma after the X. Okay, so we've run it. And now we can see it has below comparing Atletico, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. And we can see it has the position, so the position of each, like the ranking, so 1, 2, 3, all the way to 20, and then for each week. And we can now see exactly how these are going and kind of the season flow. So Bumpy charts are really cool. They are kind of limited in their use cases. It's really only for comparing things like over time. So it'd be really cool if you're comparing, for example, a moving average over time. For them, it's a little bit smoother than just doing like a normal plot. And then as well, if you were comparing like percentiles of players, for example, you can compare like for this stat down here. So the stat would be week, and then you could compare like which percentile they're in, just an idea. But as well, one thing that I would do to make this a little bit better is you can use tight layout, which would make this a little bit more compact. And then as well, I'd add a logo of some sort. So I have added La Liga logo before. So to add a picture, we need to install a couple more packages. So we're going to come back up to where we have all of our packages, and we're going to import from PIL import image. And then we're going to say from IO import bytes IO. And then we might need to use requests depending on what we're doing. So we'll import all of those, and cannot import image from PIL. It is because that needs to be a capital I. Really finicky, this kind of stuff. But what we're going to do is we're just going to search La Liga logo PNG. PNG. Oh, PNG. All right, so you might have to look around a little bit. It says right here, actual website, we can download the La Liga logo. So you just find one that you want. We'll use this white one, just might look kind of cool. We'll use this colorful one, and we'll get just the 300 by 300. And then I think we can just copy image address right here. And then we'll go back into our thing, and we're just trying this out. But if we go down, and we can just say, we basically just need to create another axis. So we're going to say ax2 equals fig.add underscore axes. And then in parentheses, we're going to pass a list. We're going to do 0.01, then we'll do 0.9, and then, 0.12 and 0.12. So these ones are basically the location that we're going to put this image, and then this is how big we want it in comparison to this size. So it's like 12% by 12%. So 12% of the X and 12% of the Y. And then we want to do ax2.axes, and then we're going to say off. Then we're going to say img equals, actually we need to go download. I just realized we need to download this. So save the image however you need to, and then save it to the correct folder. I save all of my stuff just in this same folder. Then name it something that you can remember. So I'm going to call it La Liga logo. Save it. Make sure it saves. And then go back here, and we're going to say img equals image with a capital I dot open, and then pass in quotes. We're just going to say La Liga logo dot PNG or whatever extension you use. I like to use PNGs, which I think everybody should be using PNGs, not PSGs, PNGs. And then ax2 dot imshow img. And then we can see, okay, well, that was a terrible placement, so now we are going to have to edit everything. So it's at 0.01 and 0.9. We're going to have to shift this stuff over, so we're going to do probably 0.17 here, 0.17 here, and then 0.0 or 0.1. Okay, we need to shift it down to like 0.7. See where it ends up. Okay, it needs to go higher. 0.8. Okay, it needs to go lower. 0.77. Okay, now it needs to go to the left. So we'll do 0.07 for the X. It needs to go to the left a little bit more, so 0.06. And I messed up because that should be, I only wanted this. I did not want this. So we might have to put it a little bit higher. So it's not doing that. So we'll do 0.8. And you kind of get the gist of what's going on. We could actually put it over here and it would look a little bit better. But that was just kind of a little addition to show you how to add images. You can play with it a little bit. Sorry that I didn't really go into super detail on it, but I just kind of want to show you how to do it. So you could add a logo. Just make sure you play with the X's and get the right logo, because I downloaded the wrong logo because I did not want this La Liga at the bottom. I would have preferred probably this one right here. That would have looked better. Yeah, or this one. Anyways, you live and you learn. But that is it for this tutorial. I recommend I'll update this right here so it'll be updated in my GitHub. And then I'll add a bunch of annotations so it kind of explains what's going on so you can follow along. Go download this at the GitHub. And as well, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the recent support on, well, it's been on Twitter or on here on YouTube. I really appreciate everybody that's come to the videos and liked the videos and is interacting with the tutorials and all of the other videos. So that's it for this one, guys. Thanks, and I'll be sure to see you in the next one.